Have you ever felt guilty for wanting space from someone in your own family? If you have, I want you to know something up front. That feeling doesn't automatically mean you're doing something wrong. I'm Reverend Paul, and I've spent over 20 years in ministry walking alongside people through exactly this kind of family conflict. And today, I want to walk you through 3 signs that tell you when that instinct towards distance is actually wisdom, not selfishness. Here's the thing about family relationships. We're taught almost from birth that family comes first, no matter what. And there's real truth buried in that belief. Family can be one of those deepest sources of support a person ever has. But there's also a version of that belief that keeps people stuck in relationships that are genuinely harming them year after year because they've never been given permission to ask a different question. Not, how do I fix this relationship? But is this relationship actually safe for me to keep investing in, exactly as it is? So let's get into the first sign. Sign number 1 is this: the relationship only survives on your terms of appeasement. What I mean by this is simple. Think about how the peace actually gets kept in this relationship. Is it kept because both people are showing up honestly, listening to each other, adjusting when they're wrong? Or is it kept because you've quietly learned exactly which topics to avoid, which options to keep to yourself, and which version of you gets tolerated and which version gets punished with silence or anger? I've spoken to lots of people in ministry for more than 20 years who described relationships exactly like this, and almost every time they tell me some version of the same thing. As long as I don't bring it up, we're fine. As long as I don't bring it up, that's not peace. That's a truce. You're the only one holding up. Think about what that actually costs a person over time. You start rehearsing conversations in your head before family gatherings. You start editing yourself in real time, mid-sentence, because some invisible line got close. You start feeling relief when a visit ends, instead of feeling nourished by it. And if you've been the one managing an entire relationship just to avoid conflict that the other person could just as easily choose not to start, that's sign number 1 that something deeper is going on here. If you appreciate me making this type of content, let me know by gently tapping that like button. It genuinely helps this reach more people who might need to hear it. Sign number 2 is one that's easily missed because it happens slowly. You feel worse after contact with this person, consistently, not just occasionally. Every relationship has hard days. That's normal. Families argue, people misunderstand each other. That's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is a pattern. You get off the phone with them, or you leave the visit, or you feel smaller than you did before. Not challenged in a healthy way, not even normally frustrated, the way siblings or parents sometimes make each other frustrated, smaller, drained, like something got taken from you that you're going to need time to get back. Picture someone who dreads a phone call 3 days before it even happens. Picture them replaying old conversations, bracing for a comment about their weight, their choices, their marriage, their parenting. Then the call happens, and sure enough, it lands exactly the way they feared. They hang up, they're quiet for the rest of the evening. Their spouse or their kids notice it before they even say a word. That's not a bad day. That's a pattern repeating itself on schedule. When that heavy feeling happens once in a while, it might just be a rough season in the relationship. But when it happens almost every single time, your body and your spirit are both telling you something your mind hasn't caught up to yet. That consistency is the signal, not the occasional bad day, the pattern that keeps showing up no matter what you do differently going in. By the way, if any of this is resonating with you, check the description in the pinned comment below. I've put together some helpful resources there on setting healthy boundaries with family, and they go deeper than I can cover in one video. Sign number 3 is probably the clearest one, and it's this: boundaries get tested and punished instead of respected. This is the moment where you finally say something. Maybe it's small. I'd rather we not talk about my marriage at Thanksgiving. Maybe it's bigger. I need us to stop bringing up what happened years ago every time we disagree. Watch what happens next. In a healthy relationship, even an imperfect one, that boundary gets some friction at first, sure, but it eventually gets respected. People adjust, even if it takes them a little while to get there. In a relationship that's become genuinely toxic, that boundary becomes the new thing to punish you for. You get the silent treatment. You get accused of being cold or dramatic or ungrateful or not who you used to be. The boundary itself becomes proof in their eyes that you're the problem rather than something they're willing to respect. If you've set a reasonable boundary with a family member and the response was to escalate instead of adjust, that's sign number 3. And honestly, out of all the 3 signs, that one tends to be the clearest because it happens right in front of you. You don't have to guess at their intentions. You just have to watch what they do the moment respecting you costs them something. Now, I want to share something that shaped how I think about all of this because this is where my faith comes into it for me personally. That's Proverbs chapter 22, verse 24 and 25. And I wanted to give you the exact reference in case you want to look into it further for yourself. It says it about as plainly as Scripture gets. Make no friendship with a man given to anger, and with a wrathful man do not go, lest you learn his ways and entangle your soul in a snare. That's not me making a suggestion. That's thousands of years of wisdom warning you that who you stay close to shapes who you become. If someone's anger is a pattern, not a rare bad day, proximity to that pattern will eventually rub off on you. This isn't about writing people off. It's about being honest with yourself about which relationships are forming you and which ones are deforming you. I've come back to that passage more than once over the years in helping people through exactly this kind of relationship. And what strikes me about it is that it's not vague or abstract. It's specific about a real risk, the risk of staying too closely bound into a pattern that keeps repeating itself in your life. You don't even have to share my faith for that principle to be useful for you. The core of it is something almost anyone can recognize, whatever they believe. Ongoing exposure to a harmful pattern tends to shape you, whether you want it to or not. That's not a reason for guilt on your part. That's just how relationships actually work, and it's worth taking seriously instead of dismissing. So here's what stepping back actually looks like in practice, because I want to be really clear about this. It doesn't mean cutting someone off forever. And it doesn't mean pretending you don't love them or that the relationship never mattered. Most of the time, stepping back means reducing exposure. It means fewer visits instead of 0 visits. It means shorter calls instead of hour-long calls that leave you exhausted. It means letting some conversations end instead of chasing a resolution that isn't available to you right now, no matter how badly you want it. And it means protecting your own peace as a legitimate goal worth pursuing, not a selfish one you have to apologize for. If any of these 3 signs sounded familiar to you today, I'd encourage you to sit with that instead of just rushing past it. You don't need to make a big decision this week. You don't need to have the whole relationship figured out by tonight. You just need to start being honest with yourself about what's actually happening in that relationship and what it's costing you to keep pretending otherwise. And if this is hitting close to home, I actually made a video that pairs really well with this one about the same conflict that keeps showing up in your closest relationships in the first place and a practical way to interrupt that pattern. You can check that out by clicking right here. Let's get into it.